You know, one thing is you're talking about, you said simplicity scales, complexity does not scale. One thing that just blows my mind, and obviously everybody in the world knows about this now, but Uber.
Yeah.
I mean, it just blows my mind. You say, I want to go eat, you hit the thing, a guy responds within 10 seconds, next thing you know, you're in the car, and you're driving from point A to point B, you get done, the guy gets paid, you don't have to bust out the credit card, you don't have to wait for a cab, you don't have to worry about having cash, all these things are just done. Now, there's a lot of details that made that possible, obviously, a ton of coding, but it's simple. So you can explain it to someone real quickly what it is.
Yep.
It's like, this replaces cabs. And it's just like, oh, okay. I mean, it's a neat.
The brilliance behind their model is they built a structure, an ecosystem that creates an amazing customer experience. If I'm a driver and I'm not super polite, very prompt, get you there on time, have a clean car, then you're not going to rate me well. If you don't rate me well, then I don't get bumped up to the top of the list when the next request comes in. So they've built an incentive plan that creates an amazing customer experience and has helped them scale exponentially. And
one thing I found out this week, which was awesome from one driver, he told me that you can rate the customers as bad.
Yeah.
So if I'm an idiot, he said he had one guy, he said he was completely intoxicated. And he said he was just berating him. This is a guy in Tulsa. And he was saying that this drunk guy was just berating the Uber driver about driving too fast, driving too slow. Oh, you're making me sick. And he said it just was difficult. And he rated him low. And he said when he went to do it, you realize there's all these other people who are like, don't drive this guy. He's a crazy drunk.
Yep.
And it's interesting how that ecosystem polices itself.
That's right.
Can you think of another product as an example where it's so simple that it scales? Can you think of something else where you've thought, or I guess maybe where you've said, here's another example? Just because I think a lot of times as we're watching this, we need a little context.
Yeah.
What's another example?
Well, simplicity is also a relative term, but I look at the iPhone about simplicity. So I used to go on vacation.
Yeah.
I'd bring my laptop, my digital camera, my MP3 player. I would have my day planner. You know, I mean, like I'd be carrying around a backpack that weighed about 10 pounds. Today, all I have is one phone. And it takes care of all of those needs. And it also makes it easy for me to download applications that make my life more simple as well. So I think they've done a great job of creating a very simple, user-friendly tool that solves a lot of different needs.
You know, William Shakespeare said that simplicity is the soul of wit. And I love that. I'm sorry, brevity is the soul of wit. Brevity is the soul of wit. And I just love that idea that at the end of the day, being simple or being brief, that's really what it's all about there as far as. Now, you're moving on to the next, number 10. You mentioned it briefly, but I want to hammer it again here, is using industry jargon.
Yeah.
You know, you see it all the time. Well, you know, at such and such consulting, we file more TPS reports than anyone in the industry, and because of our blah, blah, blah technology, we do. And you're going, I have no idea what you're saying. Yeah. How big of a problem is jargon in business plans?
It's big because the people that you're pitching to don't have a thesaurus handy or a dictionary handy to be able to go through and interpret it is what you put together. So really important that you use the correct language, but also distill that down into something that's easy for people to digest and understand.
I've heard people say if you can explain it to a third grader, it's good. If you can, if you can explain your business plan to a third grader, maybe a sixth grader, but if you can explain it to them with them. And that might be an exaggeration, but if they can kind of get what you're talking about, then you have a product that maybe.
I think the intention behind that is just to say, make it simple, make it easy for them to digest. But it's also an educational process, so it's important to have the right industry language in there.
Yep.
But also be able to break it down so that people that are not from that specific industry can still understand.
Now, number 11 is lacking the confidence to sell your product or service, where you have, maybe this guy has the best business plan in the whole world, just cannot keep composure, just can't convey something with confidence. Talk to me about how big of a problem this is.
I mean, leadership is about helping people understand where we're going, why we're going there, and how we're going to get there. And if the leader themselves is not adequate at doing that, then they're ripe for challenges. I mean, there inevitably is going to be hard times in your business where you have to cast a vision for your staff, you have to cast vision for your customer, your investors, you name it. This is just the first of many challenges.
And I've noticed this, that I've talked to many different investors who've told me this. They said that, when you're investing, you're betting on this entrepreneur. And they're saying, if a guy can't speak to me with confidence, albeit I know it's an intimidating thing because I'm an investor and there's other people in the room. But if they can't speak with me, not with having, we all have nerves, but without being confident and projecting with enthusiasm what they're trying to do, how are they going to be able to convince their malcontent employee to do their job, or how do they convince anyone to, deliver the products and services once we give them the money?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many situations that becomes important. It's the, how do I convince a talent to leave a comfortable job and come over and take a bet on me as an entrepreneur or this business as a small business? If you can't sell an investor, it's going to be difficult to find the right players. When you talk to Wall Street Journal, when they call to learn more about your business, and you don't come across as a passionate, confident, visionary leader, those things will transcend throughout the organization.